INC rally, sabi ko nga in a democratic space, these sectors will try to influence public policy. O, yung INC, they try to influence public policy by saying ayaw namin impeachment. So ngayon depende yan kung magpapaapekto yung mga mambabatas natin at yung Marcos administration. In the same way na nung 2013 elections, yung Catholic Church, nag-flex din sila, yung team patay, team buhay. So talagang nag-assert din sila to
Sorry, still.
influence,
Sorry.
yeah, to influence the whole policy environment. So it's just fair game. So in the same vein, itong aming pagkilos sa January 31, 9 a.m., ito rin yon. This is to show na kahit hindi kami kasi laki nung INC rally, but meron pa ring boses. And we will still try to raise these valid issues and more important issues na kailangan marinig muli ng taong bayan at maka-impluensya doon sa mga mambabatas natin para matransmit na nila sa Senado yung impeachment.
Sir, I,
Mm.
I want to ask also a little bit about the new Trump administration. Marco Rubio is officially the Secretary
Yeah.
of State. I want to slightly ask you about that. But before going there, we want to end on a more positive note on this, diba? So I think medyo na-clarify na po natin. May kind of points of difference tayo with our good friends, no? Including a lot of other fellow regulars dito sa little show natin. But the message we want in Friday is some sort of a unity, right? Na lahat naman tayo, whether actually never Marcos or never Duterte, whatever, ang gusto lang natin never trapo, right? We don't want dictatorship, we don't want corruption. All of us want the same thing, maybe just different tactical or strategic outlook. Senator Trillanes, how important is for these different groups, despite disagreements or despite differences in terms of strategic or tactical priorities, to come together? And exactly where is the venue, and is there a program? Is it supposed to be the whole day, just for people to have an idea? Kasi I think maraming interesado dito, but the thing is parang nagse-circulate lang itong mga to in certain silos eh. So we want to make sure that everyone has a chance to know about this rally and also to show their unified interest in good governance and good Philippines. Yeah.
Okay. Yung January 31, 9 a.m. sa People Power Monument po yan, it will end mga around 12 noon. Kaya itong umaga nito, ito solely for impeachment ni Sara Duterte. Yung program dyan, yung speakers dyan would be the complainants sa first and third impeachment complaints. So, mare-revive ulit, isa-isa yon. So, yan po ang first na rally. Yung sa hapon, kasama yung budget issue. Ngayon, kung if you think this is a big thing, then by all means go there.
Wait,
Wala, we're
hapon
not
niya is also
stopping.
there? Same place lang yung sa hapon?
EDSA Shrine. No, EDSA Shrine.
Yung hapon.
EDSA Shrine, yung hapon. So People Power Monument, ito po yung nasa may
Sila,
Camp Aguinaldo,
right.
corner. Oo. Yung corner na yun, katapat ng Corinthians. So yung EDSA Shrine, yung sa may church, yung may
Uh,
Blessed Virgin Mary.
it's a whole
Oo.
day event.
Ngayon,
It's a whole day event then, yeah.
yung sa EDSA Shrine, sa
I
hapon
mean,
sila.
put them together, it's a whole day event, isn't it?
Yeah,
Essentially,
yeah.
of
Oh.
third, fourth
Then yung
competition, yeah.
Then yung Makabayan Block, I think will also have their own rally. Either, I think, Liwasang Bonifacio. So in the afternoon din yon. Kaya ano to, mas maganda nga ito. Makikita nila na disparate groups, but ang common call dito is impeach Sara. Di ba? Kung mag-resonate man yung budget, which I doubt, kasi sabi ko nga, that budget issue, that BICAM issue is so complicated. At the end of the day, hindi nila masabi what the crime is eh. Magkano yung ninakaw? Wala eh. It's procedure ng Senado. Sabi ko, talo kayo dyan kasi hindi pakikialaman ng Supreme Court yung proseso ng Senado.
And just to be clear, at least the difference here is that yung peace rally was a bit ambivalent. Like we agree with the president to disagree with, like, at least ito, klarong-klaro what
Yeah.
people want, no, which is accountability on something that the Quadcom hearings, among others, exposed. And these Quadcom hearings were composed of many people from different sides, not to mention also RISA, cross-examining ano yung mga book projects ni Sarah, yung libro niya, ating
Yeah.
kaibigan niya, yung mga ganun. All right. So again, it's just a good reminder for people on that front. Now, on the last part of our discussion, Senator, um, well, actually, I have to also ask about it. So, eto na, patapos, Chinese New Year na tayo, kung Choy. Um, so what I'm hearing is that either baka mahabol pa before election yung impeachment proceeding from essentially from Congress, i-transmit sa Senate, but no one is under the illusion that they will be voting until after election, something that you have been talking about last year pa. So the scenario you've been talking about since last year pa, mukhang yun yung most realistic scenario. But to a certain degree, it could also be a now or never situation, right? Kasi kung sumablay itong impeachment na yan, hindi ka na pwede mag-file ulit until another year, right? So you just have to
Yes.
drag it until the right conditions are there and then push it to the next level, right? So could you just lay out I don't want to use the word blueprint kasi mukhang conspiracy, but the mechanics just in case.
Okay. So ngayon, Richard, there are three scenarios. One is ibabasura yung impeachment complaints. Pangalawa is itatransmit itong impeachment complaint before the elections, whether February man yan or anytime during the campaign period, para sisimulan yung trial nitong Senado na ito. Tapos, or itatransmit ito just before matapos yung Kongreso. Itatransmit ito sa Senado para yung next set of senators na ang maglilitis nito sa next Congress. Pero,
So right
kahit,
between the end of elections and then a new Congress coming in. So like something like
yes.
second half of May to June, parang something like that.
Oh, yeah. So meron pa kasing 6 session days yan after the elections. So magre-resume yan. So pwedeng i-transmit doon sa period na yon para diretso sa Senado. Ang Senado is a continuing body. The impeachment process is a continuing process. This is a quasi-judicial process. Ina-adapt niya yung proseso sa judiciary na kunyari, yung sa Sandigan Bayan, pag nag-retire yung isang justice sa 3 justices, pag may na-appoint na bago, hindi yan magre-reset na ulitin, presentation, no. Magbabackread siya para makahabol siya. So ngayon, kung i-transmit naman ito during the campaign period or just before the campaign period at masimulan yung trial, kahit hindi matapos yan ng term, kunyari June 30, tapos na yung term ng 12 senators, mag-spill over yan, magpapalit lang yung mga senator judges na mawawala, papalitan ng mga bago, then tutuloy yung impeachment process, impeachment trial, um, kung saan siya natapos nung nakaraang kongreso. Kumbaga, ano yan maliwanag sa Constitution that you can only terminate an impeachment process in either of two ways. First, sa plenaryo na pagbobotohan siya na ibabasura siya. Okay. Pangalawa is a verdict at the end of the impeachment trial. Okay. Ngayon, ang isang sub-level noon is kung prior to the verdict, nag-resign yung akusado, in this case, the Vice President, kung mag-resign siya, so effectively, remove na siya, so magiging moot na yung verdict. So, yun lang yung mga paraan paano ma-terminate ang impeachment process. Wala yung sinasabi na pagka nahinto, tapos na yung Kongreso ay parang mga legislation, magba-back to zero. No, the impeachment process is not similar or is not equated to a legislative process.
So pwede mo ibangko and then push it at the right moment, hindi siya termination kasi walang final verdict
Yes.
by senator judges nor a vote down or thumb down by the plenary in the Congress. So that's why it's also so your sense is malabo na ma-junk ito or ma-terminate ito pero malabo rin na mapasa ito before or during election. So most likely we're looking at the next Congress to see how this is going to, which means it's important we get the right people into the Congress, right? And the Senate.
Yes.
To
Okay, i-qualify ko lang, Richard.
Yes.
Ang feeling ko, ang default plan is to transmit it after the election. That's the default plan. Now, if there is some trigger, some event that would trigger the immediate transmittal of the impeachment complaint to the Senate, then mangyayari pa rin siya. Nakita naman natin how fluid yung political environment natin minsan, how volatile it is eh. Minsan biglang ganon eh. We can never tell. We can never rule that out.
Is it volatile enough for us to worry that there could be like RevGov, proto-fascist, crazy people doing crazy stuff? The reason I'm asking is because, Senator, you have had many experiences in, doing some extra
Yeah, yeah.
constitution. I mean, we're friends, right? Are you worried that some adventurous, swashbuckling friends of ours may jump the gun literally and try to take advantage of the fluid situation?
Yes, I'm worried about that. Sabi ko nga, coming from that world, ano yan, you can never underestimate these things. Nakita ko, very loud yung chatter sa mga PMA chat groups at itong mga retired pro Duterte generals are trying to influence yung mga lurkers, So hindi natin malaman, hindi natin masasabi kung may isang active colonel dyan o general na tipong, o nga, no, tama itong uh, then they may do something tapos pag nandoon na, mag-snowball na. And that's exactly what happened nung panahon ni President Estrada. Noong una, wala namang mga kumakagat kasi natatakot sila. Very confident yung mga generals noon. Then suddenly, may isang incident lang, nag-snowball, tapos na, withdrawal of support. It could end that way as well. Kaya nga, kailangan itong mga manufactured issues nila, like the BICAM, blank issue, ko ano man yan, that should be nipped in the bud. Kaya I'm doing everything
In short, Senator,
to
you're
try.
saying the risk here is either Sara becomes the next president or something even worse, which is a kind of a junta or military takes over if people do not judiciously approach the fiscalization of the current administration's budget.
Yes, and ito yan, Richard. Ang naririnig namin, ang entry point nila, okay, sige, is either impeach President Marcos or oust him, then Sara assumes. Or pag nakita nilang mas palatable, hindi, para silang corrupt, para silang tanggalin, magtayo ng Transition Council or RevGov, and guess who ang ilalagay nila? Eventually, si Digong. Kasi mas komportable sila na si Digong ang presidente. In
Right.
fact, hindi sila komportable kay Sara kasi unpredictable. Baka pati sila ilagay sa firing line, kaya ganun. Ito bang sina Justice Carpio, iluluklok ba yan sila diyan, sila Father Robert? No, gagamitin lang sila to gain that yung traction, makakuha sila, ma-expand nila yung base for that message na parehas silang corrupt, tanggalin na parehas, mag-install tayo ng council, then pag nandoon na, okay, sorry kayo, tabi kayo lahat dyan, kasi ang may mga hawak ng baril, yung mga bata ni Duterte. Then, yun na, that's going to be...
Just to be clear, Senator, baka sasabihin naman toxic masculinity tayo. We're saying these things in light of some of the meltdowns that happen. But personally, wala rin ako tiwala kay Digong. I think he's even more unstable, like just in case. He's like, so, Senator, are you saying that you're worried there could be a Sonny Trillanes in the wings who might pull off something that you were pulling off back in the day? That possibility is not really far-fetched. Na baka may you can never say, right? You can never say.
You cannot rule that out kasi may
Yeah.
out in the open yung
Yeah.
chatter. Hindi na ito talagang nananawagan ng
Brazen na siya.
ouster. Oo,
Yeah.
ouster ang nananawagan sila using the budget issue, which they themselves do not understand, na parang suddenly ito na yung casus belli natin. Ito na. Grabe na. So nakikita natin yon, and very, very dangerous yan. Kaya nga, itong ating mga kaibigan, hopefully, ma-realize nila na hindi natin sinasabi na pro-Duterte sila. But, sumusukob sa kanila eh. Sinasanitize yung mga plot nitong Maka Duterte.
But if
Mm.
there's one thing we have to say, so thank you so much, Senator Trinas, for clarifying that. Kasi parang last year we were not as worried. But okay, I'm getting more and more worried about this possibility that another Sonny Trillanes might pop up somewhere. Like, you're more than enough, right? Like the same way there's more than enough of me, right? Like, wag na
Yeah.
natin dagdagan yan. But on a serious note, if there's one thing though that has been moving in the direction of accountability is that nag-hemorrhage din numbers ni Sara, di ba? She's only plus 21 net satisfaction rating per fourth quarter. So, mukhang yung Duterte magic has taken a significant punch and hit. No? I don't know about Digong if he's really in a position to lead the junta or presidency. But Sara, bata pa. May future pa yan. May balak pa yan. She has made it clear. Yeah, she will run for 2020 if she can. Um, how are you seeing the fact na nag-hemorrhage yung numbers ni Sara Duterte na she's just at plus 21 when her father would be plus 80, plus 90, when Binay would be plus, I don't know, 50 at this point. Robredo, ibang kaso yan kasi she was really isolated and bludgeoned. But Sara Duterte, for her to have such a low satisfaction rating, what is that telling us? Maybe indeed the political wind is shifting in a certain direction after all.
And that's a very positive development. Ibig sabihin nun, nagigain na ng traction itong mga narratives, itong mga balita. And hindi ito fake news, ito yung mga totoo. Itong mga ginawa nilang corruption sa DepEd tsaka sa OVP, edi maganda 'yon. But we will have our own survey within the next few weeks. And makikita namin kung anong itsura nun. Now, yung sinasabi yung kay Duterte to lead the the TREBGOB o Transition Council, kasi siya yung nagpa-plot eh. Sila yung mga tao nila yung gumagalaw. Kaya hindi naman si Sara, kasi si Sara is an isolationist. Eh, paano siya ilalagay dyan? Hindi naman siya yung hindi man sila yung nagpaplano. Kaya yun.
Speaking of isolation, this is the last part of our discussion. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, whether it's Marco Rubio, whether it's Pete Hegseth, whether it's Mike Waltz, I think all of them have been saying the right thing in terms of reassuring us of our alliance and all, no? And dapat China focus, regional focus. Elbridge Colby will lead the policy at the Pentagon, the same thing. Nevertheless, I want to ask you this kasi kanina yun din ang discussion natin sa UTAC Forum, Usapan Taft and Katipunan with sila Justice Carpio and Yusek Malaya and Commodore Tariela and Colonel Padilla, this idea that dapat ba mag-worry tayo na baka that this Trump 2.0 could be a little bit more isolationist than we want. The reason I'm asking that is on one hand, si Trump, since he has returned to power, he constantly talks about, wouldn't it be great if we just make peace and talk together? And then yung TikTok, wouldn't it be nice that TikTok will stay wonderful? And then more worrying, actually lang nagtag sa akin ay yung members ng Biden National Security Council just the other day on TikTok. The new guy who's in charge, si Bryers sa Pentagon ng Southeast Asia, he has been openly arguing for kind of a grand bargain or at least a bargain deal with China kung saan sabi niya, to quote him, what the US should do is to look for a cooperation spiral with China kung saan daw i-withdraw ang US yung mga EDCA bases, yung mga missile systems like Typhoon in exchange for China doing less bullying and patrols in the West Philippine Sea. Hindi ba worrying medyo yung mga ganitong statements coming from people are playing now a very important role? These are libertarian folks who are playing a good top position in Pentagon nowadays. Do you think that the Rubios will prevail, the more traditionalist Republicans, or that we should be genuinely also worried with the prospect of also someone like Elon Musk also playing a very important role? Kasi si Elon Musk, laki ng investments niya in China. All Tesla, ISO, and BGC are made in Shanghai. He openly said Taiwan is an integral part of China. He denied SpaceX to Ukraine to make a deal with Russia. From what we understand, he may be doing parallel diplomacy with Iran. So, hindi ba nakakabala yung presence ng mga ganitong figures, mga isolationists, Elon Musk types who have Chinese business interests? Do you think that your good friend, put you on spot, Marco Rubio, could win the day and make sure na the bilateral alliance moves in the right direction?
I think si Elon Musk pinapakinggan siya in certain areas of governance. Pero dito sa parte na yan, palagay ko magpi-prevail yung State Department, ano sila Secretary Marco Rubio kasi heavily invested na sila diyan. Ang red line nila diyan is Taiwan. Kasi talagang masisira yung decades long na alliances na binild nila, no? Uh, because pag pinabayaan mo na yan, di yun na yun. Ngayon, I think ito kasi si si Trump, ano, medyo na nag-overcorrect siya eh. Dun
Exactly.
sa mga previous na ano, and maaring yung iba welcome na mga moves yan, yung parang practically parang new sheriff in town, ano, in town yung dating eh, na pagka hindi mo to ginawa, gagawin ko to. So binubuli yung mga ano. That works siguro, that may be working now, pero pag dumating yung panahon na ang US ang hihingi ng pabor, lahat ito ay babalik. Magkakaroon ng mga lang leveraging using yung mga ginawa nilang mga moves early on. Kaya sana kung hindi siya mag-overcorrect, kung siguro yung mga initial moves, okay na siya doon, then let the bureaucrats take over. So yung long-standing or yung strategic foreign policy positioning ng US ang magpe-prevail. Kasi pag yun sa tanong na who prevails, sila Elon Musk or Marco Rubio, it's Trump who will prevail. So kung anong maisip niya paggising niya ng umaga na yon,
Last whisper
whether it's
this year, yeah.
whether it's the side ni Marco Rubio, yun yun. But I feel dito sa foreign policy aspect ng governance, medyo nagde-defer siya kay Marco Rubio, especially with how he performed nung confirmation hearings. Talagang pinakita niya yung expertise niya in every corner of the world. Kahit na anong
Philippine
conflict.
US history, Duterte, like everything. Parang ikaw
Yes.
narinig ko. Is that so? Like yung level of familiarity niya sa Philippine politics was incredible. Yeah.
And ano, meron siyang mga advisors na ano na nakatutok sa Pilipinas. Kaya ano naman, hopefully ano natin, mapapangalagaan yung interest natin diyan sa mga
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about that kasi in fairness kay I think Justice Scorpion and a couple of other people would say something like, hindi, syempre, nakakabaling yung sinabi niya sa Greenland na binubuli niya yung Denmark na alay, binubuli niya yung Canada, Panama. Well, may pagka-Monroe Doctrine yan kasi Western Hemisphere lahat ng pinag-usapan natin. So, of course, it doesn't look like a sheriff in the town. It's more like the new cowboy in the town. Parang primeval American Netflix.
ah,
But the idea is that iba kasing East Asia, iba yung Western Hemisphere, iba yung Europe. Di ba? Ang Europe kasi ang problema, burden sharing eh. Ang yaman-yaman ng Europe, pero ang baba ng defense spending nila. But tayo, we are doing our best, right, Senator? But I'll say one issue I also had with the budget of BBM is that kinaltasan, not BBM's budget, but the budget that was passed, kinaltasan yung modernization natin. We were asking for 50 billion pesos, 36, 35 lang binigay. Like, isn't that a little bit reckless? We have to be more self-reliant and all just to hedge. I mean, of course, you're hoping that, the Marco Rubio wing of the Trump 2.0 will prevail, but you can never say for sure, right? There's always Elon Musk. There's always the libertarians embedded in the
yes.
government. So as a responsible statesman, you have to hedge.
And si Trump is very unpredictable. Kaya talagang ano tayo diyan. Nothing is set in stone at this point. Yung ano kasi, yung naman sa modernization, ang ginawa kasi nila dito, nag-trade off sila. They need I think 18 billion para itaas yung subsistence allowance ng mga sundalo, ng rank and file. Uh, and dito, kung bibigyan mo ng itataas mo yung subsistence allowance which is warranted, no? Kasi the last time na tinaas yan when I was still in the Senate back in 2012. So that's 13 years, hindi na ano yung because of inflation na dilute na yung pera. So yun ang prioritize. Ngayon, unfortunately, kailangan kukuhanin sa defense budget din, and ito yun, yung yung sa modernization. But yung sinasabi mo kanina about yung sa defense spending, hindi kasi tayo pwede ma-equate doon sa EU because the EU countries mostly are developed countries.
Yeah.
At talagang they can afford it. So talagang nag-ano
And may
sila,
war sila. They have a Ukraine war. They should pitch in.
Oo. Oo, nagsisave sila, nagsisaving sila at the expense ng US. So, valid naman yung punto na yun. Pero sa atin, kahit na sabihin natin magbuhos na triple tayo ng budget, it's still a drop in the bucket compared to
China.
the budget, defense budgets nitong mga ito. So, kailangan talaga natin ng suporta from our allied countries.
Um,
Yeah.
just last point in this. Sorry, Sonny, ang dami parang natambak. The reason again I'm raising this is, 'di ba sabi mo nga kargado ito eh. Meron ng narrative na naman mga DDS, 'di ba? Ang narrative nila is Digong loves sorry, Trump loves Digong kasi far-right populist international pal, 'di ba? Ang tawag ni Duterte, congratulations to my pal. Although tapos hindi daw inimbita si BBM. Although I know only 6 leaders were invited to the inauguration. Milei, Meloni, Orban, Modi, yung mga usual suspects. So even Netanyahu was not invited, just to put things into context, no? So meron kasing linya. So inauna ko kasi pinipreempt ko yung narrative nila. Ang narrative nila is Trump will throw BBM under the bus kasi si BBM ay masyado nag-Biden at Trump loves Duterte and Trump will cut a deal with China. Constantly yun ang nakikita ko narrative. Kaya gusto ko tong discussion na to because we want to show to the Filipino people is that hindi naman tayo nag wishful thinking dito. And at the same time, may bipartisan consensus also in terms of the bilateral lines, meaning both Republicans and Democrats are the reason I'm also raising this is because some are making a big point out of this 90-day freeze sa US aid. Sa pagkaalam ko, this doesn't affect humanitarian aid. And kanina umaga nung kausap kong National Security Council and all dun sa UTAC Forum, sabi nila hindi rin apektado yung defense aid. Ang apektado lang talaga dito yung US aid. Siguro, again, siguro may kinalaman ito dun sa woke ng mga projects
Yeah.
na yun nila
Yeah.
Trump. Siguro yun lang yun, di ba? Again, just to clarify, kasi some of the trolls, Duterte trolls are making something out of that. Sabi nga nung iba, kawawa naman daw yung mga bayaran ng Amerika sa Philippines dahil may 90-day freeze. Sabi ko, sarap naman ng nagsalita. Live from Beijing pa naman to mga kaibigan natin.
So, well, ako nga, sabi ko nga, nothing is set in stone. Ultimately, depende yan sa gising ni Trump kung saan ba siya pupunta, saan direksyon. But, meron ng default na position. And it was articulated by Secretary of State Marco Rubio during the confirmation hearings. Very definitive yung lines doon. And it is aligned with the long-standing strategic foreign policy position ng US in East Asia. Kaya talagang babaliin ng husto yan. It will go against President ano tayo, let's have a 180-degree turn and strike a deal with China. It will definitely go against bipartisan advice. At ano to, mabigat 'yon. And si Trump may not be in political capital unnecessarily kasi very strong yung anti-China narrative niya during the campaign eh. I-impose ng tariffs and all that, 'di ba? So ano 'yon? Palagay ko more or less meron default na position. Kaya yung sinasabi ng mga DDS, wishful thinking 'yon. And ganun naman sila eh
Sila
ever
yung
since.
wishful thinking, hindi yung...
Ha? Sorry?
So sila yung wishful thinking na Trump will save,
Sila Oo.
save the day
Sila yung
with China.
wishful thinking nila is Trump will favor Duterte. For all you know, wala namang pakialam
Siyang
si Trump
pakikita
diyan.
loser. Yeah, like he doesn't care if you're not a powerful person, right? So I
Oh,
just
so yeah. Ano lang, pinapa-high moral lang nila yung sarili nila kasi alam mo na, walang ano no good news for them lately. So they need to create something, 'di ba? Para lang ano nila.
medyo kailangan
But walang basis 'yon at all.
medyo kailangan ng fentanyl dopamine ano. This is really last point. Senator, how is the campaign going in Caloocan? And again, how can people follow you and support you? People who are also invested in your race. I know parang ang pangit kasi ang dating, parang ang dami natin pinag-usapan around the world. And oh, by the way, tumatakbo ka rin ng mayor ng Caloocan. Kamusta naman dyan? And paano pwede tumulong o mag-volunteer ang mga kaibigan natin na who believe in your brand of good governance and decisive leadership, which is what I really appreciate about you, Sonny.
Well, salamat Richard. The campaign is doing well, no? Kasi wala pa naman to. Actually, this is pre-campaign, but very very good yung reception, and we have both informal and formal surveys showing na practically tabla na yung laban. Tabla na, no? And I came from way down, but here we are, and I think we have the momentum going for us, but we won't be complacent. We will be running as though milya-milya yung lamang ng kalaban. Kaya dadaanin namin ito sa sipag. Now, as for those who want to help us, they can reach us through our social media platforms. So, andiyan naman po yan. Yan.
Hindi naman kayo mag-RevGov, Mayor, just in case. Sabi niya, baka mamaya magkukuyan si Trillanes sa City Hall sa Caloocan. Well, good
Yeah.
friends stab you in the front, so I just had to spell this out, Senator. Kasi may mga nagsabi, naku, pag di
Yeah.
nanalo, baka magkukuyan sa Caloocan.
Well, sabi ko, we've always respected the will of the majority, no? Ever since I became this pro-democracy or a Democrat back in nung nakalabas na ako, I never looked back, di ba?
Actually, we have to do
Uh,
in-person na lang dun sa journey mo. Kasi every time we talk about democracy, someone jokes, hindi ba ito yung 3 beses nagkuplad? Sabi ko, well, siguro magkuplad yan sa Caloocan. May supporter rin dyan. Mag-RevGov sila dyan. So may
hmm.
advice ka sa mga kaibigan natin na genuine opposition na siguro unwittingly naging enabler or unwittingly tinulungan yung propaganda machine unfortunately ng kabila. I think you have made your point also very clear that the greater evil or the threat to our constitutional order is really from the side we have been talking about. I know also that I'm sure people in the government are also watching our podcast and all, and they're looking at our discussions. What is your advice to President Marcos? Si President Marcos sat down now and said, okay, ang dami yung satsat ni Richard, dami yung alam. Okay, anong gagawin natin ngayon? What should BBM do or what should he avoid doing in the coming months to make sure na hindi mangyari itong RevGov at hindi talagang i-weaponize at i-hijack ang mga Dutertes ang mga legitimate democratic exercise of scrutiny and budget fiscalization?
Well, si Duterte kailangan i-turn over sa ICC. That's one. Pangalawa, i-impeach si Sara Duterte. Pangatlo, i-address yung mga legitimate concerns ng genuine opposition na kung ano man itong mga nakikita nilang misprioritization ng education sector and PhilHealth. So, i-correct yan. Kaya naman i-correct yan eh. Then, iwasan yung mga bulilyaso, mga unforced errors, ika nga. Then finally, kailangan nilang palakasin yung
Communication.
kanilang communications group. Kailangan front and center ito sa issue. Hindi dapat reactive. Kailangan pinapaliwanag. Kailangan na-anticipate nila where the propaganda machinery of the Dutertes are going and coming from. Di kailangan mako-contain nila kagad yon. Kasi nagiging reactive and passive even. Makita mo tong BICAM issue na ito, there is no cohesive or organized response. So it's just a one statement from Malacanang and that's it. Samantalang yung kalaban, sustained yung kanilang bira at iba't ibang talking heads ang ginagamit para makalat nila yung kanilang manufactured issue. So, kailangan talaga yung communications group nila ay dominating
Right.
sa ganito.
As was it Roy Con advised to the young Trump, 'di ba? There are three rules in politics: attack, 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 right? Like dapat siguro wag mo
Yeah.
hintayin yung kalaban mo, you attack, you take the initiative all the time.
Offense, yeah.
Ah,
Offense is the best
best
defense.
defense. Exactly.
Ah,
That's what always Team Brazil used to say in World Cup until hindi na sila nanalo. But anyway, thank you so much, Senator Trillanes. Buti nga game ka, no? I mean, grabe din sabi ko, baka magkuyan. No, but thank you so much. I know medyo mabigat na mga
yeah.
diskusyon nito. I hope people normal naman magkakaroon tayo ng disagreements. I mean, this is spirit of democracy, di ba? We can have same goals but different tactics, even sometimes different strategy. But we have so I hope people don't take it against you or against me or against some of us when we just emphasize certain points. So I really appreciate that, Senator Trillanes. And yes, you're correct. Campaign preparation. Sorry, officially hindi pa nagsimula. Kung Ifatsoy, have a happy new year and talk to you soon, Senator. Hopefully in person. Gusto rin namin i-cover yung once your campaign starts in Caloocan para ibang topic naman. Salamat, sir.
Sige, happy Chinese New Year, Richard, and see you.
See you soon pa. God bless.